Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. I got this idea for today's video from my friend Neil, who's behind the camera. We were talking about taking a break from training. You know, discipline and daily training in Tai Chi is really important. And I don't like to practice in a hardcore, disciplined way where I will practice no matter what, no matter how I feel, under all circumstances. It seems like a Taoist practice of Tai Chi should have more ease and flow to it, but when you're first starting, it's hard to practice something that you don't know how to do. It's hard to feel like practicing because you don't know how to do it. It's not a pleasant thing at first. It's kind of difficult. And so, a little bit of push, a little bit of discipline. I always tell my students, well, hey, schedule a practice in your calendar, 5 or 6 a week, and if you get half of them, you're doing better than half the country. So, having some discipline, at least in the beginning, to kind of practice, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's unpleasant, can be really helpful. Eventually, I think for it to be a Taoist practice, it should come naturally. I basically practice whenever I feel like it. I just feel like it a lot. So I practice in some form, pretty much every day. And if I'm not doing an actual form, or I'm doing free-form movements, just practicing stuff, just in my daily life when I'm walking around and when I'm doing things, I'm studying the way I'm moving and the way I'm operating, and I have some Tai Chi priorities and kind of an unforced, responsive goal in mind when I'm moving. I don't think, how can I exert myself and hurt myself on this next movement? I think about how soft and relaxed that can be. But sometimes I think it's really good to just not practice your forms, not practice your exercises, the actual Tai Chi exercises and forms, to just take a little break from that and just live, and maybe incorporate the principles in your life, but set the forms aside for a little bit and just kind of digest what you have, just kind of let things sort of percolate a little bit. Sometimes you can come back and you'll find that your form is better and you're more relaxed than if you had practiced during that week. It's kind of unusual that way. My teacher Andy Dale in Seattle also did competitive ice skating and ice dancing, and sometimes he would do, he would take a season off or take a month off and come back to the ice, and his jumps and his moves would be better than before he took the break. And he mentioned this to his teacher. I remember him telling me this, and his teacher told him, well, remember, you're not practicing your bad habits either. So while you're not practicing your errors, but you're holding the ideal of what you were aiming for. You still have that. So when you come back, you have that ideal, and your body might be more relaxed and just more able to execute that intent. The downside, of course, is that your stamina won't be there and you'll be sore as hell the next day, but that's part of training. So the trick, obviously, is to integrate both, to both be disciplined and practice, but also to have a spontaneous, relaxed, and comfortable feeling. So Neil had some personal stuff. His car got messed up and he didn't have his wheels, and he had some other stuff to do at home, so he just had a week or so or something like that where he didn't practice that much, and then came back to our long form practice and said, wow, this really feels really good, exceptionally good, and noticed some different levels of softness and things coming into the motions, and suggested that we do a video on taking a break, which I think is great. Sometimes it's really nice to not formally practice, but just everyday life kind of practice. He's nodding. Nod the camera a little bit. Because it can be really nice. Sometimes we don't realize that we're forcing things a little bit. We don't realize that we've gotten into a groove or maybe into a rut, or that we're just kind of pushing it or doing it in a kind of mechanical way, as opposed to like a really inside-out spontaneous way. It's one of the hard things about Tai Chi is that you're doing a practice that, at least the way we do it in our style, we're trying to be spontaneously intentional. Like we're practicing with a certain intent, but at the same time we want it to feel spontaneous, like we just decided to do this movement. We want it to be both, to be sort of fresh and planned at the same time. Kind of paradoxical. You kind of have to hold the form loosely in your mind and then do it. So it can be a nice thing to practice sort of religiously, but it can also be a really nice thing to take that break, to just give yourself a break and let your nervous system kind of integrate what you're doing. and then see how it feels when you come back to it. So all right, thanks to Neil for that video idea. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of music and Tai Chi and nature videos and a little stab of humor every once in a while, and or visit my site GeneBurnett.com for all kinds of info about me and all the stuff I do. Thanks for watching.